Hi guys and welcome back to MTG. I'm your host Tim, and today I'm doing an upgrade on the Tyranid Swarm Warhammer 40,000 commander deck. I really like this deck. It's pretty cool. It reminds me very much of like a green stompy creature deck. You can do some cool X synergy with the alternate commander. But personally I'm going to stick with the Swarmlord. He's kind of one of my favorites in the Tyranid lore. And I think the big stompy creature part of it can showcase the deck a lot nicer than going down casting big X spells, because there isn't as many big X spells in there like your cool villainous welts and bits and pieces. So yeah, we'll start off with the Swarmlord. So his ability, he wants to do a lot of +1/+1 counters, because whenever a creature dies with a counter on it, you get to draw a card. There are a lot of different counters now in Magic the Gathering, so you can go through and get some interesting counters like Death Touch and stuff like that, Trample, bits and pieces. I'm mainly looking at +1/+1s. So cards I'm going to cut to begin with is the Goliath Truck. It's a vehicle. It does put +1/+1s on it, but I don't really like it. It's not a creature, it's an artifact. I didn't really like it. I wanted something extra in there. We've got Gargoyle Flock. So yeah, it's a Tyranid, but it doesn't get the +1/+1s on it. It doesn't benefit from it. It doesn't do anything like that. It helps you out a little bit, but it's not a very good card. I'm not a big fan. Yeah, this guy, his ability doesn't help us really. It's a cool ability. I could make a cool deck around him, but yeah, he's definitely not in this deck for what this commander wants to do. We've got Death Leap, but Death Leap is pretty cool. But it's only creatures that you control that enter the battlefield this turn get double strike, so a lot of these creatures don't have haste, and I haven't given a lot of ways to get haste into this deck, so I don't think that this card's going to be that great in this deck, so I've pulled him out. We've got Lictor. Lictor's actually a pretty decent card to play in an opponent's turns, but yeah, I don't really want it in this deck. Doesn't do +1/+1s, doesn't have a lot of synergy, so I've had to pull him out. Screamkiller. Screamkiller can work in this deck. There's a lot of X spells to it, but I don't really want him in this deck. I had to make room for other bits and pieces. Venomthrope is a cool card. I like a flying Death Toucher that's hexproof. Putting +1/+1s onto him could have been better as well, but I don't really want this in this deck as much. Genestealer Patriarch is a cool card. I like his ability, but we don't have a lot of ways to kill creatures, so we can't manipulate the ability as much. So yeah, I've had to cut him out. The Tyranid Harridan, it's cool, it's expensive. I don't really want it in this one though. Then we've got Harrow. This deck has a lot of land ramp in it. One of its major issues is not drawing cards, so I've trimmed a little bit of the ramp. I've made it a little bit better too. I don't like Harrow. It's one where you've got to lose lands. Unless you're abusing its ability, it's not that fantastic in ramp. Then we've got New Horizons. It does put +1/+1s on it, but it's pretty crap. Sorry. We got Overgrowth, same thing, Enchantment Aura. I would so much prefer just to ramp with a spell and get lands out than put enchantments on lands. It's not as good. It's not an enchantment focused deck, so it doesn't want that. Tyranid Invasion, I mean, you get 3/3 Tyranids, 4 mana. What are you going to get? 9 power? It's not that great unless you're really abusing it. Abundance, cool card in some decks, not the best card in this deck. I want a better card in that slot. Aetherize, yeah, I'd prefer a different board wipe. Also, I don't really want that many board wipes in this deck. I want to put out big, punchy creatures and get through, so I don't want to be wiping the board. I don't think Aetherize is really a good fit for this. Exactly the same Starstorm. They've tried to put in a cheap board wipe. It's not that great. Cut it. So then I've got rid of a few extra lands. I've tried to put in some better lands that sort of fit better to the deck. That's one of the things that Wizard sort of does. In these commander decks, they're not fantastic in lands, so I've cut, yeah, just a few forests, some mountains, ash barrens, Cave of Temptation, Thornwood Falls, islands, Terramorphic Expanse. Yeah, So here we go. We're back on to now what I've added. So here's one of the ones, like I took out Harrow and I thought, look, you still want to ramp, so let's draw a card and put an extra land onto the battlefield. Simic, awesome card, great for it. Guided Passage, this is one of those sneaky cards that is actually really good. Great in this deck because you get 4 cards out of it for 3 mana. It's awesome. And also, if you're getting stomped or people at your table are getting stomped, it can be a very political card. Really cool card. Highly recommended in this deck. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, Scrying's awesome. Drawing cards when you're casting creature spells, even better. This is what this deck needs. It needs a lot of draw in it, and big mana. Just play those big punchy creatures. So I really love this card in it. Along the same theme, we've got Elemental Bond, so creature comes in. All these are like power 4, 5, 6s, so that works perfect. Grook's Uprising, another great one. You draw in cards because they're massive creatures, then you're giving them all trample. Like, just brilliant card in here. More card draw, and also +1/+1 counters. So I've put in Fathom Mage. Fathom Mage is such a little tiny creature that you're going to get a lot of value out of here because it's got the evolve ability. As soon as a bigger creature comes in, put a +1/+1 on Fathom Mage, then you draw a card. Yeah, it's cool. It would be great if it was a Tyranid, but I mean, it works really well in this deck. So yeah, go with that. Simic Ascendancy, you want a way to win the game. You're putting +1/+1 counters on everything. Simic Ascendancy should be in every deck that does that. Cheap, easy way to win the game. Unbound Flourishing, now this has just spiked in price. A lot of people saw that it would be good for this deck or with the alternate commander. I got to pick it up earlier, so I only paid about $8 for it. It wasn't much, but it works really, really, really well in this deck. A lot of these spells are X spells, which is really cool. So yeah, works well in this deck. If you don't have the money for it, don't worry about it. It doesn't need to be in here. Same with this one, Ozolith. I've had a few of these from the sets that I've opened. They are amazing, amazing, amazing cards. Yeah, it went down in price when it first spoiled, and people didn't think it was great, but I mean, holding tokens in this deck, redistributing them, like, awesome card, great for this deck. Fractal Harness, I love this card. You're putting a lot of +1/+1s on your creatures when they're ravenous, and then when they get to attack, you get to double the number of +1/+1s on it. Awesome, awesome, cool card, cool with this deck, works well. Rancor, hey, you've got a lot of creatures there, you want to get through, put trample on it. You want to get a card back in your hand when that creature dies, get it back again, pay 1, next creature gets +2 and trample. Awesome, great card, should be in any deck that you want to get through with. Then we've got Return of the Wild Speaker. This is good, it can buff all your creatures because they're non-humans, your Tyrannids, so awesome. And then also you can draw cards equal to the greatest power that you have, so a lot of these cards are massive, like your commander alone is 7, so just awesome. I mean, then we've got Tuskguard Captain, is a human warrior, so isn't a Tyranid, but does give all your creatures trample. So another great way to get these big green punchy creatures through, give them all trample. Just keep going, just keep on punching. Same thing, bit of evasion. Herald of the Secret Streams, creatures with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked, so yeah, nearly a whole lot of creatures are going to be getting through, hitting face. Then we've got another cheeky little way to do some damage, so putting a lot of this evasion in, a lot of the trample. Sometimes people get really, really big health pools, and you can't do 100, 200 health, so hey, let's just infect them to death. Awesome card, cool for your commander. Yeah, I love it. Evolution Sage, Elf Druid, but when lands come in, you get to proliferate all your counters, so keep putting +1/+1s on all your creatures. Cool card in the deck. Shame it's not a Tyranid, but works well. Hintervines, this one's really cool. So you're attacking, someone buffs their creatures or has better blocks than you, but you can still trade quite well. You play this, it prevents all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures without +1/+1s on it. So you can either trade into someone or use it to when someone's attacking you to trade well against, or you can just use it as a fog to fog combat damage on yourself. So cool card, works multiple different ways, instant speed, really cool, works well in this deck. Then we've got Simic Charm. I put this mainly in, I want all my permanents to get hexproof. You can return a creature to its owner's hand, so if something's going to kill you, you've got that versatility, but hexproof is really nice on your creatures. You're going to need it. People are going to target these big creatures, as they always do in a big green stompy deck. Now, more ways to get through. Kessig Wolfrun, classic. Give your creature trample. Oh, Rage Pits, another one, trample. Rogue's Passage, let's just be unblockable and get through, eh? Then we've got a Graft card, so this is great, puts a +1/+1 on your creature. We've got a Proliferate card, so we can keep putting more +1/+1s on all our creatures. And then we have the Bounce Land series, so I love the Bounce Lands. They're worth nothing, really good in Commander because it's giving you that extra card advantage, and usually my games aren't overly powerful, so you have enough time to play these when they come in tapped. So we've got all 3 of them. Mosswort Bridge, cool to hide away a card. You're going to have 10 power, like this deck gets pumping, gets big. Cool card, being able to cast a card for free, always nice. And Forge of Heroes, just put an extra +1/+1 on your commander. So yeah, we're going to have a few videos of these coming up soon of us playing all these decks, modified and also unmodified. So if you really like this video, click the subscribe button. You'll get all the new ones as they come out, and have a great day.